So we're recording SMRA training. It is April 11th, 2020. This is how step-by-step of what you do during your shift. So step one to start the shift. What do? We go to WhatsApp to the SMRA group, and what do? We post our goals for the shift, and you all can stay unmuted if you want for this, so you can just shout it out, right? So we post our goals for the shift. Step two, what do we do? Step two.
Send messages.
Step two, send messages. You got it.
Great.
So you send your messages. What do? You go find this message right here, and you copy, and you go on your cell phone to your Instagram, and you just go to your followers and message. Now, do we want to handle any responses while we're doing the messaging? No,
Nope.
Just message first. Message first. However many messages you could do without getting an alert, or like 45 minutes, whichever happens first. An alert or 45 minutes. So once you're done messaging on Instagram, then what do?
Snapchat, maybe.
Yeah, go to another social media platform. Exactly, Cheyenne. So if you get an alert, boom, then go to another social media platform. Go to Snapchat, right? Go to Facebook, go to TikTok, go to GroupMe, whatever it is. Now I did forget one. There is actually one thing that we do. We forgot. Before we start messaging, what do we want to do on our story before we start messaging?
Post.
We got to put a story post on all of our social media platforms, because here's why. When someone gets the message for them to check the legitimacy, they're going to first look at your profile to see if you're a real person. Then they're going to click your story to see if this is like legit, if this is like, what are you actually talking about, right? So they're going to see if you're legit, which you are, and they're going to see if what you're messaging me about is something that you're currently is on top of mind with your story. Once they see that, you're going to get a very large increase in responses. So we got a step one, we clock in. Step two, post up the triple threat on your social media platform. Step three, start doing the messaging until you reach like a 45 to 60 minute window, or until you get the alerts. Boom.
I know when I was looking at people's Instagrams, like the biggest thing for me is like, not in a rude way, but like if they don't have many followers, it's kind of just like, it could be a fake account or like not that many posts. And then also like having a work or job highlight is like huge, because then you can just look through it and like see if like what they're doing looks interesting or looks fun or is legit, and they're not just like sending you spam messages.
Yeah, Cheyenne, that's advanced training. I love that you're bringing that up. At some point during your time working with us, you're going to want to create a highlight with just work stuff. So a lot of the triple threat posts that you do, you could even start now, just create a highlight reel of like, your job. It's like, this is, whatever it is. I think that's great. We have that on ours. We have work remote, I think is what it's called. So you could even just steal that whole highlight reel on that. You have to put it on your story first. It'll run for 24 hours and then put it on your highlight, which I'm sure you all already know how to do that. Great point. So then we do all the messaging. Once we're done with the messaging, or whenever that's done, then what do? We handle the what?
Responses.
Handle the responses. Now, where do we get these responses? Do we just make them up?
Totally. No.
We go to this document. All the responses are here. Now, if for some reason a response is not here, the main number one focus you want to do is get their what?
Number.
Get the phone number. So if you get their phone number, which is number one, what do you want to do right away? You put it onto
the spreadsheet.
The spreadsheet underneath your name. You put it underneath the spreadsheet on your name, right? If they ask a question that's not there, your protocol is to take a screenshot and put it into the SMRA training WhatsApp group and say, what would be the best response? And one of the assistant managers will do that for you. So if you're like looking, you're like, I don't know, this is none of these. Screenshot the conversation, send it to the chat, and one of us will respond to you with what to say.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when I was like looking at the calendar, there was like one day for messaging and then one day for responding.
That's a good question. The responses is not just the day for response. That's where you're going to observe calls. But while you're observing calls, I just want you to handle any of the spillover responses from the previous shifts that you've done, that just to get caught up for the week. So
Okay, so we
Saturdays are almost
posted-
like, let me catch up with all the responses from my week.
Okay, so we message and respond basically the same day, and then
Yep, within that day. And then all the ones that respond like later that night, you pick those back up on your next shift.
okay.
So that might even be, actually, now I'm thinking about it, that might even be the first optional step where you put the triple threat post up. Well, so you clock in, put the triple threat post up, then handle any of the responses from your previous shift, then go into messaging to create new, fresh responses, handle any of the immediate responses at the end of that shift, and then that's where we're at right now. So that's like a shift.
Okay.
How do you, so once the shift is done, what do we do? So we did the messaging, we did the responses, then what do we do to end the shift?
We send the
The
recap.
clock out.
The recap on WhatsApp, yep, and then what do you do?
Fill out any information we got onto the spreadsheet.
So you
And put your hours in.
Yep, you send the recap on the spread on WhatsApp right here, and then you take all this information and you put it right into your
Yep.
spreadsheet right here.
Yep.
And that is exactly what we got to make sure. So what did we say? We clock in, you put your triple threat post up, handle any previous responses, send out all your messages, message towards the end of the shift. Respond to any of the same day responses that you got for that day. Switch all of them from primary to general. Switch them at the end of the shift. All of them go to primary general. It's an easy way for you to count how many messages you sent out at the end of your shift. Post your totals into the WhatsApp group, and then update your spreadsheet with your timesheet.